Hard. So folks, come here. What I want to do with you today is I want to look at screen recording. To some of you, do any of you use screen recording, or have you used it before? Okay. Right, we were using it in the art college in Limerick probably about 10 years ago. Students hated it, teacher training. And it's basically how we'd use it in different ways. It was screen recording. When you mention screen recording, the idea is that it will record the screen on your computer, right? So years ago, when you get stuck for something and some young lad somewhere in Singapore or Australia will have a video up telling you what buttons to press, that kind of crack, right? It'll record a screen. But we'd use it differently. I figured out ways to use it differently within the folklore map-based work that I would do, right? So I'm going to show you that. So I'd use it for that, but I'd also use it for very simple presentations as well, okay? And I know like you probably do, like a PowerPoint, if you're doing an artist talk or talk sometimes, you are a little presentation of slides where you need your voice recorded, maybe to see you. So you could use it for a presentation for a school or a presentation for just like a history talk or something like that. So there's different ways to use it. So stop me in my tracks a little bit, whatever, if you have any questions, right? But I'll just show you how I would use it for presentations and how it's handy for that, right? And then I'll go through doing it from your computer to your mobile phone, and then a few other little bits and pieces if I've got time to run through with you as well, right? But I would recommend, to be honest with you, I would recommend the screen recording thing to be done on your computer or laptop because you've got more room, literally got more space, right? Rather than a phone like that. So did you all download the app from me, Screencast-O-Matic? Okay, it's a free app, right? And it's free. And it's brilliant quality. There's a watermark in the bottom, but you live with that for what you're getting for free, right? And if you want to pay for your bob, you can get rid of that, right? So I've got a pile of windows all up here. As I said, too many windows open, and I'm going to just minus down a few. I'm going to share a screen. Now, say if I'm going to share my screen with you here now. And Catherine's coming in. I'll admit her in. Now, if you look down at the bottom of my computer here, I've got Screencast-O-Matic. So I'm going to click on that, and hopefully this will open up. Have any of you opened up on your own computers at all, have you? Yeah. Nope. Yeah. You have to be connected to the internet, and the app you download is the free screen recorder. So it takes a few seconds to open up, and especially when I'm sharing my screen with you, right? I'll just do my notes here as well with you. And here, hopefully, give it a second. Bump, bump, bump. Right. And when it opens up, it asks me, what do I want to do? And in this case, I'm just launching a free one, right? Now, and I'm going to show you where this is free on Mac as well. I use the Mac version, but most people are PC. And when I open that up, this crops up. Dum, dum, dum. It's slow sometimes. Give it a second. There we have it, right? What crops up is this little line with black and white, little black and white line. Do you all see that on my screen? And whenever I record now, if I press record now, it'll record inside that box. Does that make sense to you? So it'll record inside that screen. So I can drag the corners to make them bigger and smaller. But say I wanted to do a very simple presentation on, say, St. John's Eve bonfires, right? I'd have my 8 or 9 images lined up here for me talk, and it's select them all. So watch this. And straight away there are my images open up. You know the way sometimes you have to do a talk or a presentation, right? And what I would do is I'd have my images lined up, and I would literally just get my box so that it covers the images, and then just go down through like that. Yeah, they're grand. Now come here to me, grand, right? Perfect. Okay. Do you all see what I'm doing? Yeah, I'm literally having this lined up here. And say if I do, here's the difference. You're probably asking, why would you do it like this rather than using PowerPoint or something like that? There's a live element to screen recording, which I find really interesting. Okay, so I'll go through all the buttons with you in a while, right? So say, for example, I've got my 9 images on the St. John's Eve bonfire tradition in Brittany for a history talk tomorrow night, right? I'd have them all lined up there. I'll use my up and down arrow on my keyboard to go up and down. And when I open up the app, there's a border. I've pulled me frame that's going to record in there. And you can see my big head over in the bottom corner here. Can you see that? Yeah. If I want, I can go click screen. So it just sees a screen. That's grand if you're doing sometimes talks. But I find if you're doing kind of education work, putting your head, clicking both, which means it's getting my head and putting it in the corner. Or I can move my head up to that corner. I'm literally dragging my mouse around, right? So I put it up there, right? You see what I'm doing? Just move it around wherever. So therefore it's going to record that. Let's do a little test for the crack. And I'll go through all the buttons with you in a while, right? So starting now. So here's a map of Brittany, Finisterre, Northwest Finisterre, and over here in a place called Saint Jean, they have St. John's bonfires, St. John's Eve bonfires on the 23rd of June, the same way we have. And if you notice, the ferry goes in from Roscoff into Rosslare and over to Cork as well. And if I go into my next slide, you can see a photograph taken in 1890, I'm making this up, of the bonfires as well. So they always have these huge big bonfires, the same way as we have mostly on the west coast of the country, but also here in parts of Wexford as well. There's the bonfire made out of gorse or furze, and a little flower put up, a little cross made with flowers put up on top. Nowadays, people make it with a front end loader of a tractor to build it like that, but in the past it was all done by ladders in hand. And here's a video still from a woman called Danielle Ropers, and I'll show you the YouTube video now in a second. And I'm just going to press stop, right? And it's going to stop for me. Can you all hear me, folks? You can?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to minus these out of the way. Everything's a tiny bit slow and it stopped, right? Now what it's asking me to do now, I'm going to say I'm done that recording. I'm going to save the video. And now what it's going to do is going to get all that and make it into an MPEG-4 video file, the exact standard video file. And I'm going to save it. I'll go through all this slower with you in a while and saves it. And what it's doing is that's saving it down as a video file. And there's your video file. And if you wanted to, you could bring it over to InShot and edit it. But in most cases, people find if you're doing a presentation, what's brilliant is there's a live element which you can't replicate in editing. Do you know what I mean? Don't you know when you're doing a live talk or a live radio interview, there's any kind of stuff. There's a realness to it. Now, sorry, it's taking a little while to publish now. Now, obviously, if this was bigger, this would take longer. It's only a short little file, and it's done, right? Don't worry, I'm going to minus that out of the way. And minus this one down here. And if you've noticed on my desktop now, I have a little recording, a little video file. I'm going to click on it to show you what it looks like. And here you go. So here's a map of Brittany, Finisterre, Northwest Finisterre, and over here in a place called Saint Jean, they have St. John's bonfires, St. John's Eve bonfires on the 23rd of June, the same way we have. And if you notice, the ferry goes in from Roscoff into Rosslare and over to Cork as well. And if I go into my next slide, you can see a photograph taken in 1890, I'm making this up, of the bonfires as well. So they always have these huge big bonfires, the same way as we have in mostly. Do you see that, folks? One of the things which I absolutely love about using this is that live element which I said to you, right? Also, if you're doing demonstrations, you can move your mouse and keyboard around. I know they can do it with other apps as well, right? You can go between, you know, if you have your 9 slides lined up, like I have lined up like that, you just click between one to the next, and point out things. And as I said to you, record your face in the presentation as well. You can also, I could actually have those photographs there, and I could just pull them photographs out of the way, and went to a YouTube video and showed a clip from a YouTube video and recorded that as well. Does that make sense to you? Right? So it's, again, I just love the live element of it, right? Now, as you can see, it puts a little watermark in the bottom. That's nothing, really, to be fair. If you wanted to get rid of that, you could actually just bring it over to InShot and just stretch the video and it's gone if you want to do that, right? You know what? No, in InShot, you can edit stuff up or edit stuff up. But that's how I would use that app, right? I would use it for literally presentations like that. And stop me midway now if you need to ask me something. I'm going to show you little examples now in a second, right? So I'm going to go back and just show you again. Load it up again. Screencast-O-Matic.
Just a quick question when you're doing this, Michael. Can you do, instead of just pictures, could it be at your desktop that you're showing them something on your desktop?
Absolutely, completely, yeah. You can. That's what a lot of people would use it for. So it's great if you want to show someone your desktop or show someone a website. If you pull up like the library, Wicklow library website, you could go in there and just show people how to book a computer online. You know, sometimes we take it for granted that people know how to do this kind of stuff. So it's really easy in-house stuff for you to go like, now let's go for a walkthrough through our archives and literally just have someone navigating how you'd access your, you know, photographs or videos, that kind of stuff. So yeah, absolutely, Sheena. I'm going to launch it again just to show you. And I'm going to pull up here now. And when you open it up, folks, it goes to the whatever frame you pulled it the last time, right? That's that size frame, right? So just to show you, you can also do it in pieces, right? So here's a photograph. You can do just with one photograph. Let's see, no, I have a better run on that now. Let's go to a sort folder here and grab an image, folks. Random image. Jesus, here. Here, sure, here's one. not a great one, but it'll do. Here, say you wanted to do an image, pull up an image and talk about it. Like this is a photograph from Gory and Halloween from 1992. People with turnips, right? So say if I want to do a talk about this photograph, I'd literally get my little box, drag it all the way over. You can have your photographs lined up like that. Do you see that? And say if I want to get rid of my head of it, just want to get rid of my head, I would just go press record. And again, watch this. 3, 2. And here's a photograph taken in Gory in 1992. And as you can see, the whole Halloween turnip carving tradition was still strong there. So was the mummers, so were witches were sneaking in, and so were 1980s masks. And I'll pause that for a second. So you can actually do photographs one by one as well. So you can pause one photograph, pause that, pull that guy out of the way like this, look, get rid of him, go to another random one. Say, come here to me, just go to a random photograph of, sorry, here, just a random photograph here, right? And then you can carry on. And here's a photograph taken of the Irish volunteers in Graignamanagh in 1914. It's an amazing photograph of the Irish volunteers meeting. And stop. So you can do it one by one as well. You see what I'm doing there? Literally keep the frame set and drag in one by one. And now this would look like this if I went to play back this film. And here's a photograph taken in Gory in 1992. And as you can see, the whole Halloween turnip carving tradition was still strong there. So was mummers, so were witches were sneaking in, and so were 1980s masks. And I'll pause that for a second. And here's a photograph taken of the Irish volunteers in Graignamanagh in 1914. It's an amazing photograph of the Irish volunteers meeting. Do you see what I'm doing there? I find when you drag in one by one, though, it gets a little bit messy. It gets a little bit, you're stopping and starting. But if you're having loads of images lined up, it's great. Now, one thing which is really, really good for, I'm going to bin that, right? And start over again. Say, for example, I wanted to look at this. I'd find this now. I'm going to bin that. You start over. If I wanted to do a talk on this Irish volunteers photograph, right? I would literally line up my photograph like this, and I would use this in groups. I'd click record. And you could just say, right, here's a photograph of the volunteers now. There's Mount Leinster, there's the Black Stairs. Now, where is that building there? And I find it great when I'm doing talks, say, for example, maybe in Village Hall, where you pull up old photographs, and someone would come along and go, that's definitely Johnny Murphy there. And are you sure that's Johnny Murphy? That's definitely Johnny. That's his brother Patsy, and there's his 2 sisters. You with me? And by using the mouse to hover over them, you can identify, especially if you're showing stuff in a group. So you stop it like that. Does that make sense to you? So you can use that mouse, that key to move around that photograph, right? I hope I'm making sense to you, am I? I am? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really, really, really good for that. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second, just to look at you for a second. So basically, if you were doing a research thing and you have maybe 5 or 10 people here, and you could set up a projector or a big television, and you could be screen recording, and then literally the people could be talking. That was taken up in Gilcool. That one there was taken on that bot. Photograph was taken in Ockram. Does that make sense to you? And your hand wouldn't write fast enough. And I'd use that for field, kind of for map-based stuff sometimes, for stuff. I'll show you that in a second. So that's one way. It's also a lovely handy way as well, folks. Say, for example, you want to do a lovely, just a film project, and you get, say, someone bringing it, say, young people bringing in a photograph of their grandmother, and literally just do the frame around it, and then go click record and go, this is my grandmother. She was born in 1912, blah, blah, blah. So then you have a lovely little film then. You've got gorgeous. It's a really nice way to do films as well, right? Especially when you can move it over to your phone as well if you're working in tablets in schools and stuff like that. Does that make sense? You can just go on, people can record their own little bits of history. I hope I'm making sense to you, he says.
Could you just go back, slow up slightly, Michael?
Yeah. No, but I will, Craig. Come here, I'll actually run through with you again the nuts and bolts of the app, right? So that's just one way of working it, right? So say, for example, I'm going to bin this and start over again. Hang on, right? Say when I open up my open up the InShot, folks, this kind of box comes around, right? And say if I want to pull up the image of the Irish volunteers again, just to show you, right? Just to show you. And I would literally put it in there, and I would drag my little black and white border around it, right? And then when I dragged it around it, I'm asking myself, it gives me the option to record just the screen or both. And both, it's my face is in the photograph as well. And that's grand for education. So then you can move, you say, God, if my face is not right down in the bottom right, I can move it up to the top left-hand corner. I'm literally holding that little box around. You see that? Okay. Sometimes as well, if you noticed here, if you've noticed in that little small box, it's a little small box in the bottom right-hand corner. If you see that, it's a slightly bigger box. So watch what happens when I press that. It puts my head in the middle. So what I would do is, say if I was going to do a presentation on an artist talk, I'd be like this, like I'd have all my desktop cleared. I'd have my 10 or 20 photographs all lined up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I would literally start off like this with my head big in the screen, and I'd be like this: hello everyone, welcome to my talk. I'm going to give you an artist talk now on my work. It's going to minimize my head down here now. And now here's a photograph that I'd love to show you.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
And I've done artist talks like this before, where, you know, literally you'd record an artist talk like that, and then you can go back again if you want to get a bit of space. You go, right, and what did you make it at, or blah blah blah, and get used to it. It's a matter of getting used to it, going up down between the small and the big. Again, some of these might have used for that, right? So that's how you use that webcam function, right? Now here are, if I click on the little cog beside the record button, that's a little settings cog, right? That'll tell me between the screen or both. I never use the webcam. Just to point out to you, the max it records is 15 minutes. So that's good enough for most people. If you find that you're doing a half-an-hour talk, we'll then record it in part 1 and part 2, and then in InShot, stitch it together to make your 30 minutes. You with me? And that's a workaround with the free version, okay? That's what a lot of students would use, okay? Is that making sense to you? Yeah? And then you know...
Just a quick question there. Are you saying that all your images are ready on the desktop? Is that your desktop that's showing in the background, yeah?
Yeah, that's my desktop, right? But it kind of depends. Like if you wanted, say for example, if you wanted those photographs that I showed you of the St. John's Eve bonfire, you could have them in any folder, and you literally just go into your folder and you go in, you find them. Like I'm literally, watch what I'm doing now. I'm going to screen recording. I already have a little folder of examples here, and I will literally just select my 9 images, double click them, and they get nice and big on my screen, and I move that up and just, right? And then I literally position it so the little black box, black and white box, only records what's in there. So it won't see, Sheena, it won't see all the stuff on my side here with sort folders and Wicklow dressers and like that. It'll only record inside that black and white line. That makes sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now there is a little bit of tweaking and pulling and stuff around like that, but that's all part of it. Now, just want to show you something as well. So basically, max is 15 minutes. The size now, if you can see it there, if I drag it, you can actually manually drag the size to whatever size your window is, but it's already got presets which are important, right? So I'm just going to click on the preset sizes. If you click on that, it has 1080, which is, watch this when I press 1080. 1080 is standard widescreen television. Remember I was telling you that at the start of InShot? So if you say, God, I'm going to record this for the widescreen television in the library, you literally then set it up and pull your images to fit into that 10, you with me? Into that perfect frame. So if this is for YouTube or for television screening. Also, I wouldn't go 720 or 480. 1080 is standard widescreen, right? They're just smaller versions of that. And then if you want to click full screen, this is what someone asked already. If you click full screen, watch this. It literally records the whole screen. So this is where you want to maybe walk someone through your website or walk through a computer app that you want to show them, right? That's the full screen. I'll just go back to the 1080 one. Just to point out as well, the way it works is it picks up the microphone in your laptop. So it records, that's what it's recording, you talking. So if you're doing a presentation like this, go to a nice quiet room and do it and turn off your mobile phone, right? Go to a nice quiet space to do it. If you've got the paid version, it actually records the audio internally. So basically you could watch a video on the RT player and record that if you wanted to do that, right? But the free version doesn't allow you to do that. But say, for example, you did want to record a video and you wanted to show it at a presentation just for in a local library or something, you can actually just go to a quiet room and pull up a YouTube video and press play, and it'll play the sound out and record it back at the same time. Does that make sense? It won't be the best quality of audio, but it'll be good enough for your presentation. Is that making sense to you? Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to, when I mentioned that to you, right? Are you still there? Hope we haven't lost you, right? Yeah.
Michael, do you mind if I just ask you quickly about audio?
Yeah.
When you played back that video that you made there, that example one, your voice was very clear and, you know, the volume was good. Have you got a microphone on or is that the quality of the audio that would come out of all of our laptops?
Yeah, no, I've got an iMac here. Now it's not new. It's maybe 8, 9 years old at this stage, but it's just the microphones are good in them. I find the quality of the audio and video really good with this app. There are other ones on the market that are not as good. The
Yeah,
video
I had a little play around with it when I downloaded it and just recorded something really quick, and I was very echoey. So maybe that's more to do with the room than needing a special microphone.
Yeah, it could be the room, Catherine, for sure. Yeah. Do come here. Do a test in a nice cozy room somewhere and see what the difference is. Just to
Yeah.
see.
Okay.
And it could simply be as well a microphone on your. But your microphone on that now is perfect. Like your there now is great.
Yeah, I was using my PC, so I'll try it on the laptop and see. It's just I noticed it was very, very echoey. You know, it was hard to listen to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That kind of tinny sound. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. Come here to me. I just know students use this an awful lot. We would give students work with this the whole time, and they would use it for presentations, really quick presentations. And all I can stress is that live element, which is really, really good, and it's lovely. You can turn around a presentation very, very quickly, right? Now, when you're there, I'll show you other uses for it, right? And I hope I'm not losing you. Oh, no, sorry, I won't. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm going to show you what buttons to press. I'm just going to press record for a minute, right? Just record a few seconds, right? So 3, 2, this is countdown. And here's a photograph taken in 1914. And I click and stop. Now, when you've made your little presentation, you need to click done. And it asks you, what do you want to do next? And you say save. This program also allows you to edit, but I don't think you should go near the editing function on this because you can do it in InShot. Master one program first, right? So I'd say save this. Now it's going to say to you, what do you want to save it as, Mick? And it gives me an option to save as a video file. That's just like as a little video file, the way InShot worked for you. Or you can upload it to your website, upload it to YouTube, or straight to your Google Drive. Right, I would recommend go straight to video files first, because I'm always worried if you did a lovely 15-minute presentation, you're uploading to Google Drive for YouTube, and next minute your internet crashes and you don't know where it's gone, right? So I would recommend save it as a video file, and when it saves as a video file, you just click, give it a name like this, test, whatever, test, and just click publish, and it literally just pushes it down, compresses it down onto your desktop. And then what you would need to do then is email it over to yourself, if it was one option. We transfer it over to yourself. Or remember I showed you in the early days, I'll remind you again of Snapdrop. You know Snapdrop? So you'd open up Snapdrop on your computer and on your phone, and then if you wanted to send it over to your phone to edit it or anything like that, you can, right? Does that make sense? Just get it off your computer, right? So and the video quality is brilliant, okay? Just to show you now as well, where are we on? Now, I'll get rid of that photograph. Yeah. There's other ways in which you can use it as well, folks. And I was looking, just showing you there now. If I go to my Facebook account, I remember doing this one Sunday morning at home, literally using the OS maps, right? So this is another way you might use it. I would use it here for looking at old, just good few ruins of old houses from the time of the period of famine up here in the hills behind me, probably the same in Wicklow, and you'll see all the lovely, the potato beds, the ridges and all, they're still there. So literally what I would do, and this wouldn't be the most exciting now in the world now, lads, but just to show you, make it a bit bigger.
So here is a current aerial map of Ballyconnegar, and if we slide our slider over to the maps from the 1830s, 1840s, from about 180 years ago, we can see that the coastline actually, when we see them transparent here, we can see that the coastline actually.
Oh my God.
There's the current coastline now. So that's the amount of erosion. And you can see all these little fields, they actually match up with the field structure that are there now.
So
what we can do is if we slide.
That's just, I'll just pause myself there. You can go by layering, so there's loads of these fantastic online resources like the OS maps, and you can layer them and literally screen record them. And you just talk and do a walkthrough and go, this is where it is, right? And that's a lovely, I got more calls after that, and that took me a half an hour one morning because I was wanting to look at coastal erosion because this pond is still here and it's ready to go into the sea, right? But just that's one way of applying it, right? Another way of applying it, so that would be one way, and I'll show you in a second how that would be done. If I go to an old mapping project that I would work on here, if I go down to, God, Jesus, it's in a village that I was working in, just to show you this. I would work, this is 2013 or 14, I would bring, say, a group of older people in, and we'd literally set up my laptop, getting a bit of data from my phone, and I would pull up the OS maps and screen record them, and they'd be pointing out, oh, there's this place, there's another place, there's another place, right? Does that make sense? And I'd screen record that conversation, so I'd hear the audio, and also I'd be pointing out the names of the places to do it to. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Just to show
Sorry,
you.
Michael, can you just explain that transparency effect? Is that within that app?
Yeah, it's in the well, come here to me. They changed about 2 weeks ago. They updated the app. So there's a layer function in it. And I haven't been looking at it since then. You can go, if you go to osi.ie, go to their GeoHive and go to their map viewer. Now, come here, I randomly zoom in here now to you, right? Yeah, that layer function is there. View the layers. You can add layers to your map over here. As far as I know, I'm not new. Literally, this has only been updated in the last 2 weeks. And if someone wants to jump in and show me where the button is, before it was a little slider down here. But what I do know is that my own father passed away there a couple of years ago. But I do remember, like, when I would, we were looking at a place called Templederry, a little graveyard. There was a church and graveyard there. It wasn't marked on OS maps, even though the name had suggested it was there. But I remember my father, oh, where was I going to talk here? He'd literally just screen grabbed. And I remember walking through every field that he knew. So you'd press record, sit him down beside you, and just talk. And you go, right, there's Murphy's house there now, and there's Keogh's house there. And God, that was 2 fields. Now there's 1 field there. And you'd slide it over and you'd look at the current version of it, right? And you'd say, God, that's changed now. That little house is gone. You with me? So you can literally walk through the landscape. That's a brilliant way to record places. And I said to you, field names, names of bends, names of rivers, names of everything, all that local stuff. It's also a great tool as well in that group setting. Men love maps, by the way. I find older men in particular love. Geez, I can't believe it when see these things. And you put them up on a larger screen. Not to say women don't like maps as well, lads, but I find older men get lost in them. Just there's something that happens with them. Now, loads of rows have started as well about move there, but that's neither here nor there. But it's lovely in a group setting as well. You could have it on a bigger screen, and then people will say, oh God, no, that's not the name of Murphy's Bend. Murphy's Bend was further down to the left, and then you move down here. Are you sure that was Murphy's there? You with me? So it's really handy for that. Also, just to say to you as well, during lockdown, I worked on a couple of field names projects, giving people advice. And we would join here like on Zoom. Say you were all my neighbors, and we would join on Zoom, and I'd be like in charge of the moving around bit of it. And I'd say, right, Vincent, you tell me there the names of your fields. And Vincent would go, that field is the Mullion, that's called the 3 Corner field, that's called the Hanging field. And you'd go around, and then you go to Marcelo and he'd tell him. So it's a great way. You're actually getting older neighbors in on Zoom with the help of sometimes with the help of family members, just to be able to. Does that make sense to you? I know you can't beat the physical stuff, but it's also a good way of building up getting it one layer up. I know that my own father, this is the truth, which is he was gone too old, he couldn't get into the field to figure out where it was a place called Templederry, right? And I remember recording him. I went down to the field, he couldn't get into it. And the whole landscape had changed since the time he was a chap, right? It had been drained, the land had been drained. But he was able to walk me in going through the OS maps, and you walk into that field there, and you come into another field, and there's a ditch down here, and so that's where it is. And if you looked in the current maps, you couldn't see any of those ditches. But I was able to go back to the 1830s with him, and he knew it like by mind, that kind of way. Because that landscape hadn't changed probably until the 70s, 60s, 70s. So it was incredible, and he pinpointed exactly where the graveyard was. And then I got talking to another neighbor, and exactly he brought me to the spot where he showed me. So it's a brilliant tool for that kind of work, right? So does that make sense to you as well, how it can be used? Yeah, for that kind of mapping stuff and community mapping stuff is lovely. Now, you still with me? You are. Okay.
So Michael, essentially you can open up a website and just click through the website as if you were using it yourself, but you're broadcasting it to your audience either on Zoom or through Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, so 2 ways to record, Catherine. So one would be, say, for example, you were physically in a room with a screen, and there was 4 people with you. You could get that Screencast-O-Matic app, press record at the start of the meeting, and then just go through. Now, lads, what are we looking at here, right? Or likewise, if you were in a Zoom meeting, you press record the way we were pressing record now, and the Zoom will be the recording of it, of that screen, you moving around. Are you with me? Yeah.
Okay.
Also, some people would use screen recording, because I've come across it, people recording talks you do, and they'd be recording themselves, you know, that kind of way. They shouldn't be, but they'd be recording themselves as well, you know, that kind of way. Some people would use it for that. You'd never know if they're recording it, but some people would be. Does that make sense to you as well? You can use it like if you're, you know, you could record YouTube or something as well. Kids are doing it with screen stuff, to record little videos from YouTube and stuff like that. I see them well able to do it, right? As I keep saying to people, if you press record on a tape recorder in 1982, you were breaking the law as well. That's all I can say to you. If you recorded your favorite song in 1982 on the radio, that's what the young ones are doing now with YouTube videos. No, I actually don't think it is, actually. Does that make sense, you know, with that use of stuff? So come here, actually, when I mention the YouTube, I'm going to show you this just when we're there. If I had lined up YouTube just to show you, oh, I need to press screen record with you. I'll share my screen with you. Now, if I go back down here, well, as I could get lost in those maps forever, I'm sure some of you could do the same. If I go to, God, let's see, where was the YouTube? No, I want to get YouTube. Say British Pate, right? Say if I go to this goal find in Wicklow, if I was working on a youth project with young people, right? This is what I would say if they wanted to do a little video on goal find in Wicklow. I would get them to go to Screencast-O-Matic and put the little thing around their video, and then go to a nice quiet room and press play and press record and that'll function. That making sense here, right? Say if they're doing a little talk, because some people will ask, how do I download a video from YouTube? That's the safest, easiest way. With any kind of found footage as well, you know, where, you know, people, because sometimes you have to, there's loads of royalty-free music on YouTube and you have to download it in some ways. So that's one way, that's the safest way, right? Other ways, say if you did find a video and you needed a talk and you're in the middle of a hall somewhere and you go, God, I'd love to be able to download that video from Wicklow. Here's the handiest way, right? Now, I always operate my, what do you call them, my computer here with a thing called an ad blocker. So I pulled it up to show you. I've used Firefox and stuff, but I would recommend these. Well, I use them anyway. Maybe you're different in your organization. It's an ad block, and it stops any kind of ads cropping up on your screen. It's completely free, right? It's a free thing called ad blocker, right? And especially when you're dealing with download videos from YouTube, because really inappropriate stuff can crop up. So this is the only way. But as I said to you, the safest way if you're working is a screen record. Just a video, just get a bit of video if you need it for a talk or something. But say I went back to this, God, let me see, show you, where's the Wicklow? Finding Gold in Wicklow. If you notice here, it's got a www.youtube.com and then it's got the address. But if you just type in SS after that, save from net, it's www.ss and then click enter. It just brings you to save from net. And I'd have my ad blocker on here the whole time, so you don't see any ads coming up on the side, right? And literally that video will crop up, and then that video will download. Now it'll only download small, but it'll be grand for a presentation if you needed to do a talk or a little excerpt from it, right? Obviously, get permissions from people like British Pate. They'll license the stuff to you if you need to use them for a bigger production. But if you're doing a little talk on gold mining in Avoca, then you can go to something like that. It'd be handy. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, that SS thing, and you literally click on the video and it'll click download, then download it, right? That's just one way. There it is now. If I wanted to download that video, I'd literally click download now. That's downloading to my downloads folder. So it's just SS in front of it. That's one way of doing it. Now, so are you still with me? You are? Good. Okay. Now here's one thing I just want to show you as well. You're probably well aware of screen grabbing, are you? Do you use screen grabbing? Yeah. So hands up who doesn't know what screen grabbing is. You know how screen grabbing works. Cool. Oh, grand. Okay, good stuff. Okay. For those of you who don't know, the snipping tool. The snipping tool is the handiest one on a PC, and a Mac then is a different. Just press 4 buttons, right? So you can see, you know the advantage of that, don't you? I'll show you the advantage of snipping tool. Remember the other day when I showed you? Hang on, I'll show it to you there. Boom, boom, boom. If I go to the NLI, right? NLI photograph, and I see these more and more cropping up. I go to their photographs and I type in, I find a really good handy on the NLI site, right? So say if I type in Bray and I pick up a photograph here, and if I wanted to just do a screen grab of that now, I would, and a Mac, there's 3 buttons, I press a slightly different, and I just save that like that. But one of the great things I find in the NLI, say you want to pick off detail, there's a plus and minus button over here, and you can zoom in and in, give it a second to load up, and you'll just pluck off detail like you'd never believe, you wouldn't get And if I just screen grab, I can see the name of that tea rooms or something there. 1 second, folks. Give it a second to load up. I would just screen grab that as well. And the reason why I'm showing you the screen grab thing, I'm going to minus the out of my way. And just to show you the photograph, bum, bum, bum. Just to show you the two in comparison. Say there's the photograph of the Bray Head, brilliant for a talk. But say if I wanted to zoom in on that building over there and pick off the writing on it,
Jeez.
the screen grabbing is great, because if I zoomed in on that one I'd screen grab there now, look, the pixelation is just gone. You with me? So it's really handy. That screen grabbing technique is dead handy for picking off detail. If you're looking picking off fashion or boots or types of carts people wore or whatever, right, or drove, that's very, very handy for that. So that's the snipping tool for that one. Still with me? You are? Good. Okay. Do you have any questions you want to ask me? All right.
That snipping tool is great too, in that you can save it as a JPEG image as well. So you can, not only are you snipping it, it gives you the option, there's a little save symbol, and it can be saved then as a JPEG if you want to keep it then for attaching it to a document or whatever. Just bear in mind the whole copyright thing. You know,
I know.
snippet. I mean, I use it the whole time too. I use it every day. It's a really handy tool.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you are publishing, you do need permission.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all know that. Yeah.
Just to add to that, because I use snipping tool a lot, but I also got recently, I'm using more just the print screen function. So the Windows key plus print screen takes a complete screenshot of the whole screen, and you just open up in the onboard image editor and just crop it down to what you want.
Yeah,
it's really quick.
Yeah, because for those of you, all your keyboards, PC keyboards have print screen up on the top part of it there, top right of it, you'll see that. Are any of a Mac user by any chance? Or any
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mac users, yeah, just for, can I show the Mac people this? Mac people, you naturally came with all this stuff for free, right? Just, I want to show the Mac people this because it's, I've been using Mac since about 1993, lads, so that's why I'm on it now the whole time. If you go to QuickTime Player, oh, sure, oops, get rid of that. If I go to QuickTime Player on Mac, and if you just go to normally, you just go to new screen recording. That's for the Mac people. So go File, New Screen Recording, and this crops up. A little red button picks up my voice. I press Record, and then I just can open up my an image here, and I just can drag whatever I want to just record over that. And just record it, and that's recording me the exact same way as the Screencast-O-Matic. And I just press stop up here, and it's saved as a video file. Okay, so that's for all you Mac users. So Mac, it's already built into Mac, right? It's just that's the way it is. The Macs come with it, right? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. As Catherine, we said, was just copyright. Always be careful with copyright. We covered that in the last section as well, especially with images and stuff like that. But all we can do is get into a better habit of crediting our sources. Credit. Everyone, institutions, photographers, everyone, the best you can. It's the best it's all we can do moving forward, right? Now, Justin's put in a text. He says, to grab screen grab on PC, use the following instructions: window key and print screen. Just grabs your whole screen, saves it in a screenshots folder, and your and also used to be the paint thing as well. There used to be a paint function. You used to open up paint and paste it in the past.
Yeah, I haven't used that in years.
Yeah. It moves on so quick. Come here to me, Abe. What I want to do now is just want to show you how you can do screen grabbing on your phone, screen recording on your phone. Okay, now to be fair, how would you use? Actually, it's handy. Somebody you might know. Now, here's the function. I'm going to share my screen with you. Now, I'm sharing my screen, by the way, just to show you this. I have an iPhone, right? Now, I've signed into this meeting. That is Michael Fortune, and I've made him co-host. And then what I do is I just pull down my phone, and there's a little button down here at the bottom. I'll show you where this button is. And this is a screen record button. And if I press it hard, it says, it allows me to share my screen to Zoom. And I click start broadcast. So now I should come in over to you. And I'll cover this with you in a second. So it's sharing my screen, that little button. I'll show you what that little button is, right? We don't realize it sometimes. If I go back down here, if you normally pull on your phones, sometimes you get your your calculator and your torch and stuff. But see that little dot, the little tadpole dot, that's a screen record button, right? Okay. Now, if you go to settings on your phone, and this is for Apple, and I'll show you the Androids in a second, right? You should have a, if I go to Control Center on Apple, I have got my screen recording turned on. Now, some people don't have it turned on, so you need to go into your phone, into your Control Center and turn it on, right? Also, this is on most Android phones now, right? Okay, the screen thing. So when you Google the name of your Android phone and just type screen recording, okay? Now, some of you mightn't use it, right? But I'll tell you how I use it, right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you how I would use it. I have to stop sharing my screen with you. Say, for example, I've got an app on my phone called InShot. It's not based on a computer. And I want to record a tutorial how to use that. Okay? What I would do is I would literally pull down there, normally where my torch is, and I just press it once. And it's counting 3, 2, 1, and it's recorded. See it recording? I would just go like this and record my voice. Now, folks, here's how you use InShot. And I would press all the buttons and show it. So it's recording me and what's on my screen. And then I just go back and I just click stop. And then I just go into my photos, video, and sorry. And there is the video. Me showing you what buttons to press. Is that making sense here? So that is dead handy, but only for for computer-based, for phone-based, tablet-based stuff. You with me? So, yeah. So for Apple's, it's under Control Center. For Android, to have a look at your brand, right? What make it is, and it should be there, right? But here's the plan B for all of you, is also, you can also do it with Screencast-O-Matic, this app here. So you know the app I've showed you?
Yeah.
Computer, you can also get it on your phone, right? Now, I've still to find out ways in which I'm using it, I'll be honest with you, right? But I found one way. I said, geez, okay, that might work for some kind of presentation if you're doing something, right? And I'm going to share my screen with you. So I'm going to share my screen and show you how way that I might find a use for this. Apparently all the TikTokers now are using that, so you don't know, you know, it's a dead handy. Like hairdressers are apparently using this function. So basically, if you've got someone doing someone's hair and then you want to put your face in, then showing you what things to do, you know, this kind of stuff. I've heard loads of people, but there's always ways which you can use tools, right? So if I go to Screencast-O-Matic on my phone, the app Screencast-O-Matic, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go import. Say I want to bring in a video, and I'm going to go. Let me see.
Record. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm going to go, let's see, let's see. Oh, here's the little one playing with the cat. Just randomly putting this in now here, lads, right? There's now the cat. So it brings in videos, and you can have a library of videos, right? And say if I want to do a screen recording, I click. God, let me see now. I click record. He says, and it says to me, "What do you want to do?" If I wanted to do just a screen recording, like what I showed you already of how to use an app, click screen record and just. You with me? You can record that. If I want to do camera recording, it does camera recording. But then again, I don't see the point of that because you've already got the camera on your phone anyway. But say you want to do camera and screen. It's camera on screen, camera existing recording. Say I wanted to look at the little, my little one playing yesterday. I say, here, just your man here doing something with bees. What it's doing is, now you can't see this, look. Do you see in my screen where it says drag to reposition? You see that? Normally, if I wasn't sharing my screen, you'd see my big head there. You with me? So what you can do is you can pull in a video, and here's a friend of mine feeding these wasps there in Wexford there a couple of weeks ago. I could put my big head up in the top corner, hold it out like this, and press record. And it'll record, and I could be talking. Now, here's a friend of mine here in Wexford showing me how he's feeding these wasps with a mixture of syrup. Does that make sense to you? So it does the same as I showed you on the thing where you can add in your face. Does that make sense? Yeah. Other, just to bear in mind, I hope I'm not confusing you with this too much. Other things in mind is if you have, say if I had a video up of your man feeding his wasps there, that audio will come through on my recording. So you can keep the original audio or you can knock it off. So then you just hear me talking over his demonstration. Now, to be fair, you can do this in InShot really as well with the pip function, right? But some people might like the quick version of this. I know people are definitely using this, right? So if I press record now, right, it will go 3, 2, 1, and it would be like, oh, here's someone showing me how they did something with their wasps in Wexford years last week, right? Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
I hope that makes sense to you, because it's just another way to add a layer of video on a layer of video. I don't really use it, I'll be honest with you, but I saw that, I said, okay, that might be handy, right? But you can do that on your computer anyway. And to be fair, do you see what I was doing there, adding one layer of video over another layer of video? Say for example, Graham, I'm picking you here now. Imagine, Graham, I was doing your hair, and I would do close up of me doing your hair, right? I'm all showing you how to put plaits and all in your hair, right? And then whatever it is, separately, you can get a video and record me. So now you could actually go to InShot, bring in a video of me doing Graham's hair, and then you could actually record me going, now what we're doing now is a very delicate French plait here. You can see me hands left and right, and you can pair the two videos over each other. You with me? In InShot anyway. So it's just another way to do another job, really. But that.
Can I ask you just a question regarding what's it, this screencast compared to, say, there's a talk or there's a launch of a journal that are taking place on Saturday. So either I'll go with my phone and just video it, okay? But would the screencast be a better option with sound?
No. Screencast, I find screencast handy for those kind of quick presentations. And I find it handy for that kind of research stuff, gathering stuff, and being able to record the screen during research. And it also might be handy for some of you who have websites or maybe archives that you might want to navigate people through, pressing buttons and what button to press and that kind of stuff. It's handy for that. And you can do it yourself at home. That's the most important thing. I'll be honest with you, I would recommend a computer rather than a phone. Phones get small. You're working on a smaller screen, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't be just a simple good video recorder, you know, the kind of way.
Yeah.
Any more questions regarding that at all?
I have to ask, Michael, why was your man feeding the wasps?
I don't know. That fella Declan is a good friend of mine. He wasps outside and he's mad into, he's got nettles growing. He'd make nettle soup. I don't know what he was up to. I don't know what it was. And it's apparently none of them stung him. Like they just had a relationship.
And he's a friend of yours, is he?
He's a great old sport. Oh, jeez, he makes up nettles. He's one of those people who always drinks nettles in the month of May. You know, that kind of crack, yeah. But anyway, he's right. He's the best.
Can I just come back to Marcelo's point? He's going to a gathering at the weekend, and he wants to get the reaction of people to his presentation, and he's going to walk around. Somebody's going to walk around the room videoing it. Is that the plan, or?
What's that, Craig, again? Someone who's going to a presentation?
Marcelo was explaining that he's going to have a presentation at the weekend. And he wants to record the reactions of the people. I want to do something similar here. So the way to do that is to take a separate video of the reactions, clearly.
Yeah, well, again, you're dealing with permissions as well with audiences. That's the one thing to get that clear for yourselves. You need to identify that people are being recorded and you've got permission to film them, right? But say if there was a talk on, a history talk on, and you had two cameras, well, I'd probably use the better camera for the speaker, and then you could literally just pluck off shots then if you had a second camera person with permissions of people's reactions or people just watching it, you know, so you can just go between both of them, you know, rather than just having the presentation up. Sometimes as well, when you do, say you've got a historian doing a presentation, and sometimes the slides can be very washed out when you see them on the screen. Sometimes with their permissions, if you borrow their slides, and then maybe when they're talking about a photograph of shipwreck, you can actually just drop in the original photograph that they have of the shipwreck filling the screen, and you still hear him and her talking underneath it, and then go back to their talk, and then drop in another image. Now it's a little bit of editing for you, but sometimes a lot of historians won't have that many images. They'll just have one image up, you know, so you can just copy that same image and keep it on the timeline. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, it doesn't have to be really snazzy, but it just might help with identify. And also it gives you an option as well. Say someone is zooming in on got a type of a mast on the ship, you can actually zoom in on the best quality, and you can actually pick off the detail of whatever the slide that person is talking about. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And one thing, I said I'd show you because it cropped up the other day. Justin had mentioned it as well. I will keep you. Here's a little doodah I have for doing my slides as well. Remember I showed you the app the other day. This is a little rally job. It's really good for slides. I'm getting upgraded results on negatives. They're about 30 euros, but I've got super quality with slides. If you've got old slides, literally just Mac or PC, plug it in, and it's literally scan. It's so simple to use, right? Little slide scanner. You can get really expensive ones as well. And also, just when I'm there with you as well, is I just to show you this again, 20 euros is this little doodah here. Say you're transferring old VHS, if you got them at home, if you have them at all. You know that normally your VHS will have data at the back. So it's a classic old red, yellow, and white. And they come out the back, and you buy this doodah for literally just 20 euros. And it just plugs in. They're called video transfer. Just literally plug into your USB and then into the red, white, and yellow. And software usually can put it. Really matter of pressing play on one and recording that, and it'll just do it for you. You know, it's very straightforward to do. So if you got old videos, archive stuff at home yourself, family stuff, it's well worth doing before the tapes get too old on you.
Sorry, Michael, just before you go on there, the security thing that you had on the YouTube video, the SS, where did you put that? I didn't catch it. I didn't see it on the screen.
So when you type in, so it's www. Normally, and type in the chat here. Normally it's www.youtube. You just SS and then YouTube.
Is there another dot? No, just SS.
Yeah, just like SS YouTube and then the URL after it. That's a very handy thing for because I guarantee you'll be stuck somewhere. You won't have access to internet to pull up your YouTube videos.
So the SS just goes before YouTube, and then it's just the same link, but you just put SS in.
And click enter. Yeah,
okay.
There's a load of them, but I would recommend that ad blocker of some sort, just in case ads will crop up that you don't want them cropping up on your screen. So that's all.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Cool out, lads. Jeez, we managed to make it on time. So do you have any questions at all, Laird? I hope that was okay. Of some use to you. Yeah.
That's good.
Brilliant. Great. Good. Sure.
Thanks, William.
We've one more session on Thursday, don't we? We do.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. That's the last session. Brilliant. Good stuff. But if you have anything in the meantime, come back to me, right? And I'll post this up a bit later on today or tomorrow.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Michael.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Michael.
Everybody. Bye.
Thank you.